What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Evening Alpha. I'm your host, Todd Wanish, founder of Adult Fantasy, NFT, and someone that's been in the comics and animation field for way too many years now, several decades, but we're not going to go there. I'm still young at heart, and that's all that matters, right? Anyway, lots of good stuff for you today. I cannot wait to introduce our guest to you. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. Just one thing to know, and that is now that Evening Alpha is officially global. We are all over the planet now. We have gone hardcore into podcasting. So we are available any single place that you want to find podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Stitcher, Pandora, you name it, we're there. And so we would love it if you go check us out, if you go download the podcast, if you support, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review, especially on a service like iTunes. That stuff really does matter. And yeah, we're taking it further, more things to come, lots more good things to come. And I definitely wanted to take a moment and say thank you guys for all of your support. We couldn't have made it this far without you. And we're growing and getting a lot of attention. And so, and more importantly, we're getting a lot of attention for the projects and founders that join us on our show. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, and the team appreciates it. And with that, I can't wait. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in because we have a couple of guys here today. One of my favorite projects, something that I noticed when they first launched. Sometimes there's a project that jumps out at you through creativity and style, especially with a background like mine, which is comics and animation. The minute I saw it, I was hooked. I thought it was just freaking phenomenal. And what's more incredible is that these guys haven't stopped. They have just kept growing and building and designing. And so I'm super excited to welcome Gerhard and Captain Punks from Punks. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, cool.
How's it going?
Good to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I'm so excited for this. So, first question, really, and really the only question, what is, tell us about Punks. What's it all about?
So I start. Okay. So,
I can kick it off if you want. So punks.com, that's punks with a V, is really the platform that powers our various NFT collections. Repeat Offenders is the main one. And I guess Punks is the brand or the umbrella. And we've got a couple collections underneath that. So Repeat Offenders is our sort of main NFT collections where we kind of started things. And from there we've jumped into a couple collabs. We've got a kind of 24-hour open edition mint we did called We Stand Against Evil for Ukraine's benefit. And our latest release, which is Fluctuation Overload, which is a token-gated comic book experience. All of the art, other than the collaborations, is obviously from Gerhard himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of, around character building and storytelling, and basically just building this kind of world around this scenario where we have this like cyberpunk storyline. And I mean, I've always been doing this kind of stuff, and this was just a natural progression, and we're kind of just pushing forward, and seeing where it goes. At the moment, we're doing like a full comic that'll hopefully evolve into like a graphic novel, but that's like ongoing. And yeah, we don't want to like just limit ourselves to one specific thing, because I think the beauty of this is that like we can do anything, and we want to do more, and we want to do cooler stuff.
Yeah, I think when we started out, I mean, our roadmap was quite simple. It was make more art. If you typed in the roadmap command in Discord, that's kind of what it spat back at you. And we worked quite a long time building Repeat Offenders, and we had a very successful launch. And afterwards, Gerhard and myself had a call, and it was quite a basic one. It was like, okay, so what do we want to do? What do you want to do next? I've been a fan of Gerhard's for 10 years plus, and so we really then had the platform to to do what whatever it is that we wanted within this world, and to carry on, expanding on the universe and making more art. Something that Gerhard had mentioned to me is that he'd always wanted to draw comics, and so that seemed like a natural fit. So we said, okay, well, why not? The community's definitely supported it, and it's been a great experience.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. Like when I came into the space, when I really got exposed to NFTs, end of 2020, but really 2021. When we started Adult Fantasy, one of the things that attracted me to the Web3 space was first how open everybody was, and how accepting everybody was of everyone's different background. Like everyone was focused on the one thing, right? Which was the art and craft of making cool NFTs. And the second thing that brought me in was that every single project, whether they knew what they were doing or not, right? Every single project had a comic or a graphic novel as a roadmap item, right? Or I should say, if it wasn't a roadmap item, it was an influence. And that was crazy to me, because coming from animation and comics, it's at least in the States, it's not as open and as free as one might think, right? It's changed quite a bit over the years, and it's very hard to get in. It's very inclusive, meaning, or I guess I should say exclusive to other people. It's very hard a business to get in, right? And it's all networking, and to a degree, it's always been like that. But even more so as the market in the States has shrunk. It's harder to get in because there's fewer people working in the business, because fewer comics, at least in the States, are selling. And it was kind of eye-opening for me to see in the NFT space how everybody was doing comics. The creators and artists that I had never heard of just exploding out of the gate with phenomenal art and art styles, and pushing into sequential art, which is my first love. It was hugely eye-opening to me. And I'm wondering, like, if you guys had the same experience, or like what was it that brought in, say, oh, I could do a comic in this space, especially maybe if it was like a new thing for you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like the thing is with comics is a lot of work. It's, especially if you're doing something proper. Like I've seen terrible comics and rushed comics and things that's like just slapped together. But if you're really like putting your heart and soul into something, it's not really something you can feasibly do as a career move. Like I've done comics for some of the big names. I've drawn, storylines and stuff, and it's kind of something you do because you really want to do it. Because you don't do it because it pays well. You don't do it because I'm gonna move up in this ladder and I'm gonna be like a big shot, comic guy at whatever label. It's really hard. So I've always wanted to do comics, but I've never really found like a good enough reason to actually, pursue it further than, like doing a short story here or a collab there, or like a, something like that. So when we, got into this point after we had our first collection out, and we did a couple of like unique pieces and stuff, I don't know, it just felt like, maybe this is a good time to decide, okay, I'm going to now dedicate the next year or two to do something proper. Because we can, sell it. It's like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to quit my job for this, but it's like, it's building something to a future, and it's something I want to do properly. Like I want to do something that I'm proud of. I don't want to just like do something because, oh, we need to do something, like the people want stuff. No, that's the and also the for me personally as an artist, like it's really hard for me to keep doing something if I'm not motivated, especially like, like working on comics, it's flipping hard work. It's
so much work, dude. It's so much work.
It is so much work. After like couple of pages, after 8 or 9 pages, you usually get to a point where you sit there and you're like, okay, why am I doing this again? So if the reason isn't like solid and you're still feeling okay, the cause is good, you're not going to carry on. So so this is the first time I'm kind of like super motivated to push and do something long and something big, and it fits. It's like the story needs to be expanded, like the world needs to be expanded. I've been doing like these characters and like loose little art pieces around this cyberpunk world of mine for so long, but it's all like it's always just been something I've done as an outlet, like in between advertising work, I'd quickly work on like a little animated thing, or I kind of just do a drawing, or stuff like that. And usually the cyberpunk stuff was things I literally just did for myself, because you can't sell it. It's like I've always done gallery work and stuff. You don't sell that stuff in a gallery. It's in a way, it's like the worst art because you can't sell it, but it's the purest art because you're literally doing it for the art. You're not doing it to sell it. So I've always felt like, the whole art world is so flipping wrong, because like, it's just like advertising, in the end, you kind of bow to the dark lords and you end up doing what they want, and, kind of spieling this whole, artist, bullshit story about how, like influenced you are by this deep, motive and all of that. But it's just to convince rich people to buy the stuff, like they're not going to buy my cyberpunk stuff. So this is like the first time that, there's like a platform where you can do this kind of stuff. Because the people who end up buying the stuff are people like us, It's like, I mean, we want to buy stuff because it's cool, we don't want to like go to some, snooty gallery and like pretend that, oh yeah, I know what this is all about. Like, I'm going to give you, lots of money. We decide what we want, we decide like what's cool, and like there's no bullshitting in this platform. And that's what I like about it, it's like, it's honest.
I think that's so interesting. It is very honest and it is very open. And I like you said something that made me think, and that is, I think one of the things that makes our little corner of Web3, the storytelling corner, or whatever you want to call it, different. And I've had this conversation with a few people now, is that when you start from the premise that this is going to be something big, right? Where not in that, oh, it's going to be big, we're going to make them buy a yacht and all. Like when you're like, okay, I'm starting with the seed of an idea and I'm going to move forward and we're actually going to make this into a much bigger universe. You're making that commitment to yourself to do a tremendous amount of work, right? Like we all know that. Like it's none of this is easy, like super, super easy. It's extremely hard, right? And so knowing that it's hard and you make that commitment to say, okay, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna dedicate years potentially to this project and to grow the universe. When you start off with that mindset, I find that you're not so pressured to do the thing that's going to try to sell out, like do the thing that's hot right now in the moment, right? Like we've all been around long enough to see like these quick trends, these pops, these trends where all of a sudden, boom, that's hot, and everybody rushes in, or a lot of people rush in to do the super cool hot thing of the moment, and then that phase burns out, and then there's the next thing. Oh my god, a new mechanic, boom, there's this whole thing. Oh my god, trolls with crap all over them, awesome, let's do that. Like all of a sudden, it's like pop, 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 and I think when you sit back and you look at your own project and you say, okay, well, we're not that. We're actually we have a goal that's far out here. You by default, you're forcing yourself to take the long road to that greater success, you know. And I think it's more about, for us, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more about longevity and legacy, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully. I don't think that long-term success is a yacht. It's probably more just like credibility or honor. I don't know. Maybe like on a smaller boat.
Yeah. Well, I liked what you said there about the trends. I mean, we launched in January of this year, and you know, profile picture mania was still you know, a huge thing, and you know, we had that option, you know, just go ahead and launch a profile picture collection and possibly sell out. But we wanted to do something different with repeat offenders, and we had a long conversation, myself and Gerhard, and we said, okay, I think one of our goals was to make art that would look great on your wall, you know. So if that piece of, if your repeat offender street scene was hanging on the wall, we'd want somebody to say, wow, that's an amazing piece of art, rather than, oh, is that an NFT, because it's a 1:1 ratio profile picture, you know, thick line, you know, cartoon avatar. And so we set out to do something a little bit different, but we know how communities are built, and a lot of it is around the profile picture. So we said what we will do is, you know, we've got the code available to crop the kind of portrait from each character out and put a, you know, background on it. And so if people want to, you know, identify as their character, then they've got that in the vault on the website. But we really wanted to create this gallery, this exhibition of art pieces, which is why we went to the kind of street scene route, you know, different you know, posters on the wall and different street lamps and those kinds of things. And you know, we faced quite a bit of backlash in the beginning. A lot of people wanted us to just kind of push straight to the you know, the profile picture stuff. And one of the guys who work with, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, you know, if you've got a Banksy and the only thing you've got is an A4 frame, you don't cut the Banksy to fit the frame, you know. So, right. So we really wanted our pieces to be able to stand on their own, and it can be difficult. A lot of the platforms are built around, you know, showing many of these images and things. So it's hard to sometimes show off your work. So which is actually why we built our own exhibition on our website. So you can go take a look and set the thumbnails to large. It's a good way to browse the collection. But yeah, it can be hard to push against the trends, and we'd even set a timer when we launched. So we had like a 2-week window using the Ethereum block counter. So and that's how long you know, if you take a look at the story, that's how long the portal was open, you know, to connect to your host body. So after 2 weeks, it would automatically close. We sold out, you know, in 25 minutes. We never had to get to that point, but we had planned for it, you know. Yeah, we decided to take a different route. It worked out for us, luckily, and it's given us the ability to, you know, fulfill our roadmap, which is making more art.
Yeah, you know, when we launched Adult Fantasy, we launched right before you guys. We launched in December of 2020. And it took us an entire year to develop, because when we started out, we looked at the market and we said, oh, everyone's doing these PFPs, so maybe that's what we should do. Why rock the boat? And then, but as we looked at it, you know, we started realizing, especially with my background in collecting, I realized that there's really, the NFT space is so young, and the collectors in it are so, for the most part, you know, there's definitely people in our community that are different, and others. But a lot of the people who come to NFTs, this is the first thing they've ever collected. You know, they don't come from comics, they don't come from baseball cards or sports cards. They don't even come from gaming cards like Wizards of the Coast kind of stuff, right? Or Magic the Gathering. That's just, for whatever reason, the NFT collecting bug is what got them. And a lot of those guys come from finance. And so the way they collect, not only is it different, but it's very immature. It's very immature. So what we ended up doing is spending pretty much the entire year inventing new technology that allowed us to create generative damage on NFTs. So at mint, essentially everybody who minted our NFT got a comic book grade value of 0.5, which is awful. It's poor, right? And it's in a graded case. So if you've ever seen graded comics or graded cards, it's just like that. But ours is a real-time dynamic NFT. And so what happens is all the time, every single day, the algorithm on the back end rolls a die and makes a decision on whether it de-ages the card or the comic, in fact, making it better, right, over time, and therefore increasing the grade. And it determines what part of the card gets better. So centering, corners, edges, surface, like whatever it is. So it's a generative piece. It's every single piece is 100% unique, but it's unique to its own card, and it de-ages over time. And because we did that, we invented a player, so it's hard to fit in that stupid square that OpenSea gives you, that most of these platforms give you. And we ended up having like a full screen player, and you can spin it. It's full 3D. It has a front and a back, fully customized. And so we had to deal with that crap, kind of like what you guys have. The minute you go outside of the square, it's very difficult because, these platforms control basically. I don't even know if they understand that they're controlling the market through the limitations that they have of their service. But even with our thumbnail, like we had the same issue where we looked at the thumbnail and we didn't want just like a floating baseball card looking shape or a floating comic book, because you have all this dead space on the side. So we then had to invent another thumbnail generator that basically puts your graded comic or your graded card on one side and the numbers associated with what it is that day, right? So you have like maybe your edges are 3.2 and your corners are a 9.7 or whatever. And so it's real time. So it's basically the NFT updates in real time 24/7, and the thumbnail updates every 24 hours. So you can go back to you can actually check your account and check your adult fantasy NFT, and you can actually see by indicators what has changed in the last 24 hours to see if it's increased, and how it's changed. And it's very similar. The reason I'm saying this because you Captain brought it up, and it's really similar in that we didn't think we were. I mean, certainly we were like, oh, we're inventing new technology, and we want to share it, and we're working with partners now and all that. But we didn't really think we were breaking any rules. You know what I mean? We were like, okay, cool. But to do something different than that PFP shape, and you guys, just by going widescreen a little bit with what you guys are doing, which makes total sense to me. I'm like, it's a wallpaper. Like, let's go. It's a poster. It makes total sense. I can see how there would be like a backlash or a misunderstanding, or why did you do, like, there's almost like a fear of like, oh no, this is different. Like, oh no, they're showing torso. They're showing a torso, not just the head and shoulders. Like, what do we do? Like, have you found it like hard to explain, or how do you address that stuff?
Yeah. So just quickly on your last point, I've got a Hail Draconis law with the Vincent Scala cover, which is one of my gems in my wallet. When I minted, I was really hoping I'd pull one of his, because I've been a fan of his work for a while. So when I saw he was one of the artists, I really hoped I'd pull one of his. So yeah, I've got one of one of those sitting as a gem in the wallet. Yeah. So yeah, we did. I don't know if I'd call it backlash, but it was definitely kind of strongly suggested, by members of the community, that we either switch to the profile picture version, or update the metadata, or whatever it was. But luckily, we stood quite firm on that. We want this exhibition to stay that, the exhibition of the work as we originally intended it. However, we do have an upcoming release where all holders will be able to mint the profile picture version of their repeat offender. So if for whatever reason you believe that you want the NFT version, whether it's the Twitter hexagon, or you think it might sell better, whatever it is, we're giving you the opportunity to do that. It was actually planned for before the comic, and then we switched it around. So we've launched Fluctuation Overload, and the next technical deliverable is our profile picture mint. So we've got an interesting dynamic that you'll see. It'll come out when the product's ready. But it's something cool to look forward to, and hopefully that answers your question in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have like we released like a little profile pic drop for people just to download and use. But yeah, it is very interesting how strict these systems are, right? And I think it's up to us as the creative founders to break it and say, hey, it's okay if there's something that looks different. It's quite okay. In fact, it's the way it should be. And if anybody thinks that the PFP is I should say this: most people that we speak to, and most people even in our own community and our own server, like I don't think anyone really believes that the PFP is going to be the number one thing in 2 to 5 years, right? Like it's if everything is a PFP, then nothing is unique and it's all boring. And so I think it's going to be, I think it's up to people like us to figure out, okay, well, what's next? What's it going to look like? What can we make? You know? And if it happens to be a square and it happens to be a PFP, that's totally cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think just by breaking it out and saying, okay, well, here's the first piece, and it's more of like a landscape than an actual portrait. Okay, here's the next thing, we're going to do apparel. Or hey, here's the next thing, we're going to do a comic. Oh, hey, here's the next thing, now we'll do the PFP, because now you guys know that it's not just about a PFP project, right? And I think I think by building that up, it's such a smart way to do it, and I think it builds a lot of trust in that you're actually gonna be here and that you're doing stuff. And I think it shows a creativity to think outside the box, even just a little bit, to show that, you know, hey, as a medium like Web3, like we can actually do other things. It can be bigger than just like, hey, PFP to a metaverse game, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, you know, but you can do other things as well, right?
Yeah. And I think if you take it on a 10-year time scale and you look back, you know, at what projects stand out, it will be some of the outliers that obviously there'll be massive collections that are profile picture based, and a lot of my favorites are those. But yeah, looking back, you'll probably, you know, handpick a couple that broke the rules a bit and stood out. So whether it's you know, fully generated street scenes, or whether it's you know, generatively graded comic books, you know, it's it'll be those kinds of things that we hope you know, over a longer time scale stand out versus, you know, whatever the hype was for that week or month.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I've got some more questions, but real quick, I want to jump into chat because it's been popping. We want to recognize everybody here. Dusty, what's up? Always first. How you doing, man? Of course. KG, how you doing, man? Welcome. Good afternoon. Willie D, made it to afternoon alpha. What's up? Yeah, I know. We always should change our name to afternoon alpha when it's during the day. Carrots, what's up? He says, just finished some lunch. Time to tune in while I hack away at some code. Welcome. Snickerel, what's up? Hey all, how you doing? Coffee nerd, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Afternoon all. Miles, what's up? Yo punks, how's it going? Bradley says hi, what's up? Yo. Carrots jumping in. Got my repeat offenders, my print, my hoodie, and my comics. Awesome, man.
Amazing.
Awesome.
You know, I've seen the name like 100 times, and the first time I've heard it said as Carrots, and now I feel so stupid. I'm always like Catharsis.
I know. Like, I'm the worst at names. I'm so bad at names. Like I just, people just put up with me at this point. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's hard. Bam Bam, what's up? He says, let's go, GM, dude. Dark Beat, welcome. Emmanuel, what's up? Repeater since day one.
Nice.
Awesome. Willie D, OG repeaters in here. What's up, Willie? Welcome. How you doing, Willie? Willie repeatedly snipes me every night in our games, in our Discord games. He kills the crap out of me. Zoltov, what's up? Love my ROs. What's up, Zoltov? Obscar, the legend. What's up, Obscar? He says hi all. Good to see you, Obscar.
A lot of people in there.
Everybody. Emmanuel says, congrats to Gerhard. I'm going to say Gerhard, but you didn't pronounce it that way.
That's perfectly fine.
It rolls.
It's actually Gerhard.
Gerhard, okay.
Yeah, it's really hard for people to say, especially English people. So, yeah, Gerhard's
I will do my best. Congrats to Gerhard, Captain Punk's Plunder. Well, I don't know how to pronounce Plunder.
Plunder.
Plunder. That makes sense. Yeah, and all of our core community.
Awesome.
MZN, GM fam, what's up? Preston, welcome. Let's go, Punks fam. Got everybody in here today. Bradley saying, what's up? Carrot says whitelists are for fascists.
That was one of our early Discord commands. Like if you typed in when whitelist or whitelist, it spat that back at you.
It's funny because like I didn't know what a whitelist was or a roadmap.
I love it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And thanks to everyone that's hanging out here and watching live and chatting. You know, I see all these names and they're immediately recognizable to me. You know, it's one of the things you mentioned it right at the beginning, but Web3 is so inclusive and amazing. You know, the amount of artists that I've connected and worked with just purely through Twitter DMs is amazing. You know, like you wouldn't find that anywhere else in the world, you know, whether it's the music industry or whatever it may be. So thanks to all the punks and the repeater vendors out here and some of the names that I don't recognize. So good to see everybody, and thanks for spending your time with us.
It really is, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Preston says, love your art, Gerhard.
Oh, thank you so much.
We got everybody commenting. McKinley says, for honor.
What else?
Yeah. And then Dusty says, maybe success is being on a rowboat, but still being here in 3 years. Yeah.
That's true.
This is true.
Yeah. There's a lot of those yachts sinking. Think twice.
Right. Miles Donald says, make more art.
We're doing that.
Jeff Asmar says, yo, what up?
Yo.
And and then Hoshin says, yo, yo, yo. So I've got a question for you guys. As another team that's really pushing the boundaries and really thinking long term and rather large, how do you guys go about behind the scenes, like just in terms of process? How do you guys go about planning out or thinking about this larger build? Like, how do you have like a mind map somewhere where it's just like, okay, here are the 50 different things we could possibly do, or is it just like one project at a time, like or some combination? Like, how do you plan something that could easily take several years, if not the rest of your life, to create?
I think it's a collaborative effort. You know, it's always checking back in with each other. You know, we have to be fluid, and things change. You know, so it's like these constant little check-ins. You know, so we plan ahead and we say, okay, where do we want to end up? And a lot of the times we're looking at what other projects are doing and how that's been received and what the impact is, you know, of that. And so we try and have this kind of long-term vision with some kind of short-term deliverables. So we'll say, okay, well, you know, do we want to expand the collection, or do we want to make our future collections more exclusive? You know, so we've tried to figure out a way to say, okay, how do we keep building without just diluting and flooding the market? And you know, that's how we've come up, at least with our medium-term roadmap, internal roadmap with the team. It's by kind of constantly checking in what's possible, what's best for our community, what's best for us, and then, like I say, having the flexibility to change as we go along. You know, so we've really tried to focus on being able to provide content and great experiences without just dumping a whole bunch of stuff on people.
I think that's definitely a key. Is like we don't want to make something lukewarm. Like we don't want to just churn something out because like it's expected. So that is why we're taking our time, and why we're kind of, you know, like playing the long game. We definitely want to, whatever we do, we want to make it, you know, better than what we've done before. So I think that's kind of like where, you know, I want to be. And I think the three of us like all have like a similar, aim, is to kind of, to make quality. Like we don't want to just make, try and get like a quick buck in, or like, oh, this is now kind of trending, let's quickly churn something like that out. Like we don't want to do that. That's not our game.
Yeah. It's this is something we talk a lot about, but it's so much work to do these projects. I don't think people realize on the other side of things. I don't think people realize how much work it is. I think it's so challenging to run a project like this, especially for a long-term thing. Even if you have a ton of money, it's not easy. It's just bigger things, bigger problems. So it's I think teams in our space who are focused on Web3 storytelling really get extreme props from me, at least, because it's like, as we talked about, it's taking the long road, right? You're not doing the quick buck. It'd be much easier if you had nothing and didn't care, and we're just like, yeah, I'm going to throw some cool drawings out there and make a boatload of cash and peace out. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder when you're thinking about this thing and saying, okay, well, I might not know what I want to make 5 years from now, but I kind of know where I want to go. So how can I make the thing today tie into something, larger down the road, even if it's kind of fuzzy? And the minute you make that decision, or the minute you start thinking in that way, it becomes incredibly difficult, because all of a sudden you overthink everything. You have to overthink everything, right? Like when you come up with a comic, how was that process? Did you certainly you decided to tie in concepts from from the art style and from the world, obviously, but like what's your thought process and your kind of creation process when you're creating that book, and how it actually leads into other things?
Well, it's actually the other way around. So the story was actually developed at the very beginning. So like, as I was doing these characters, because I mean, it kind of started quite organically, like the way we started talking about this project, and then I mean, we kind of, it took us a while to get to a point where I could actually get on this and decide, okay, cool, I'm going to do this. And as I was like drawing the characters and like, shaping and like figuring out like what we're actually going to do, I was kind of like drawing all these ideas I've always had, from a long time ago, like, these kind of like rough concepts that were always just like there. And things just kind of like started playing in, falling into place. And as we did the pre-roll to launching our very first, the repeat offenders, we kind of had to, like put a backstory to it. So I kind of like just wrote a very quick outline of like, okay, this is the world, this is kind of the, the setup. And then we, I mean, it's kind of, the story has always been like, the driving factor. So I think like, from there, I've always wanted to, do it properly and like tell the story, like, and do it as I see it in my head. And like, and I've always wanted to do like my own graphic novel, my own story, like that's not, because I've worked with other writers, I've worked with some successful writers, and it was great, like, but after like the third or fourth page, you start feeling like a pencil monkey. You're kind of just drawing someone else's story, and you're like, oh, geez, how many pages do I still have to go? So it's hard motivating yourself to draw someone else's story. And so I think the story has always been there. It's not like, suddenly, oh shit, now we need to come up with a story, and like, kind of got ourselves deep into this thing. This is actually, something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, and I think that's, like you say, like the long game thing comes in here is, like I've been doing this for more than 20 years. I've been drawing like the same kind of stuff for 20 years. So it's not like I just suddenly came up with like, oh, let's do catfish with different types of shades, and like that's gonna sell a lot, and then suddenly you're stuck with drawing flipping catfish because you decided, oh,
right.
this is our catch, and now you have to draw flipping catfish for the rest of your life. So like I think it's like it's important to to realize, like, when you make something and you put it out there in the world, it's going to be there, so 10 years later I still want to, I mean, you always look back at your old stuff and you feel a bit like cringy, but you want to be, you want to still be proud of it. You want to still feel like, okay, cool. I was younger there, and like, I wasn't as skilled, but I'm still proud of what I did. I didn't make some stupid, like character and made some money, and now the money's gone, but I'm still stuck with this character following me around.
Right.
Yeah, I think what's nice about the dynamic in our team as well is, when we approached Gerhard, to join us on this journey, it was, all we really want is a platform for him to make more art. I've always been a fan, been following. I would just love to see more of it, and so that's really the platform. It's how does how can Gerhard make more art? Whatever he does, we'll figure out the mechanics to get it into the community. So do what you want to do, and we'll figure out the mechanics on the back end. Tell the story, make the art, and we can figure out the technicalities in the background.
How did you guys connect?
Relentless Twitter DMs from our side.
I have to say it's the best thing that has happened to me. Like, we've got the cool team.
So I mean, people have probably heard the story 100 times. So, but I'll try to shoot through it. I discovered Gerhard's work in 2012. He'd done a series called "Skateboarding is a Crime." It was these screen prints of these skateboarders, and I'd seen them somewhere at a gig or something, and I'd seen them online, and I absolutely loved them. But I was a really poor student, and I couldn't afford to pay for art. So I right-click saved these skateboarding characters, took them down to the local photo shop, printed them for £2 a pop, which is like a fraction of $1, and I put them up in frames at my digs, and people would always comment on how cool those pictures were. And while it felt great in the moment, I always kind of felt bad that I'd kind of stolen this art, and I'd been displaying it for so long and had so many great comments, but I'd never really paid anything back to Gerhard. And I always kind of planned, okay, one day I'll buy one of those massive prints, and it'll be my how I repent, and and then. Having gotten into NFTs in 2017 with CryptoKitties, I'd kind of been watching the space and playing around, and I always wanted to do something. And when things were really kicking off, I decided to take a look if Gerhard was in the space, and surely enough, he was doing some one-of-ones, and that was my chance. So I started, like I said, relentlessly DMing him and telling him, like, that we should get together, and we could definitely do something cool. And I was a big fan, and so it's come full circle. We've been able to work together, and I've actually owned some of those prints now. They're up at my house. So I've got legitimate copies now, and I mean, we found a bunch of them. We tracked them down, and we put them on our merch store, and they sold out overnight. I think we had 20 or so copies of these screen prints, and really that's the origin story for punks and repeat offenders. So it's that's how we connected, and I guess the rest is history.
Awesome. So are you guys going? And I kind of know the answer to this, but I figured I'd ask anyway. Like, so you dropped the first comic, right? Is this going to be ongoing? Is this going to be like a regular basis?
Yeah, we're dropping pages as they come out. So we'll drop a few this weekend, and like we're gonna try and like we actually haven't made any like commitment of like, yeah, it's going to be one a week every Friday or something, because I need to draw them, and some of the pages take longer than others, and I'm still kind of doing a day job in between, so sometimes like I'm just hammered with work, but sometimes I do a lot, like whenever I get a gap, I just try and do many pages. So as I get them out, like we'll just keep popping them in, and we'll send out a notice say like, just download your latest copy from your vault. So you'll just like, the next time you download it, it will just have more pages, so it's not like you have to go and buy more.
Oh, like, interesting. So it's like that's interesting. That's like an evolving. Now, is this just like, is this actually the drop? Is that going to be a graphic novel? Is it like, I guess if you're dropping pages on a regular basis, is there, I mean, a normal comic is anywhere between 20 and 30 pages, depending. So how's that working?
Yeah. So we've got the NFT. We've got two different editions. We've got a standard edition and a special edition. The standard edition, we did a snapshot of our holders, and each holder could claim 2 free comics of the standard edition, and we've got 1,000 special editions on sale on the website. And how it works is you buy the NFT, you access your vault on our website, and you can download the latest version of that comic. So it's an evolving product with new pages. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go and update metadata. You don't have to buy a new NFT. You just go to the vault and get the latest version, which has the new pages. But as Gerhard said, this is like a 1 to 2 year project. So rather than what make people wait 2 years before they can read the comic, we thought, we are in a Web3 space. Let's release pages kind of as we finish them, and also allow the community to give feedback and try and influence the story. Gerhard knows where it starts and where it ends, but everything in between is kind of ours to play with. So people can kind of try and influence where the story goes, or try and insert the characters. We've got a Discord channel called Make Me Famous, where you can post your repeat offenders to be used in various different ways. And so then, if Gerhard needs a few characters for a scene, you might pop in there and choose 1 or 2. Or if we're painting a giant mural at a skate park, we can go take a look in the channel and pick out some characters.
That's awesome. So I have a smile on my face because I think it's brilliant. I love it. That's absolutely what I'm talking about. It's one of those things that's only possible with Web3, really. Because anybody can update a PDF or whatever, but you're actually adding a sense of you have that sense of ownership because of Web3 and the NFT. So I think that's fascinating. That's a really elegant solution to the problem of trying to push out work of this kind of scale and this kind of effort. You can only draw so many cafe talking scenes before you have to pop in some silhouettes. So like, are any plans down the road for like a hard copy, for like a physical?
Definitely. Yeah. We've already had some publishers approach us, and they're quite keen. Obviously, it'll need to be thick enough, so it's gonna be at the end of that long road, but definitely
and something we've done as well is when I wrote the smart contract for the comics, we made sure that they were burnable. So this fluctuation overload, the volume 1 that we're speaking about, they can only ever be 5,000. There was 4,000 up for free claim, and 1,000 up for sale as the special edition. And we've got one planned burning utility that will kind of release more information about, so that'll reduce the size of the collection, and it'll grant you something new, and we might have other burning mechanisms down the line. So the idea is, like you would have the first edition of a book, so much goes into circulation. Some people might lose theirs, or gets destroyed or whatever, and then it's harder and harder to track down the kind of first edition. We want to have that dynamic with the comic, to say we started out with this many. People decided to burn for this or that, or whatever it may be, and so hopefully then that first edition that people decide to hold on to, it becomes more and more rare. And that's also why we gave people 2. So if you were older, you got 2 by default. And the plan, I mean, people can do what they want, but our kind of initial plan was hold 1 so that you can continue reading the story, and burn 1 so you can have fun with us as we release new things.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a really cool way to think about it. I think we try to do the same thing. Like, you always want people who you always want the people who hold your work and who support you to feel like they got a bonus, not to feel like they lost something to get something, right?
Yeah, hopefully. And also, like, people who, you know, like, see the value, you know, further down the line, because what we're doing now is like we're basically, you know, building a kind of an infrastructure for getting something way later, but only the people who were kind of with us now, who went in, will be able to get it. Like, you won't be able to just go and buy one. Like, we're not going to sell it, you know?
Right.
It's like it's only for the people who are in now.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's the way it should be, man. That's the way it should be. Roller Dog says GM Punks. Teramoto says narrative NFTs for the win. Hell yeah. Absolutely. 2D's here. What's up, 2D? Says all the punks in the house.
Yeah, it's all the OGs.
That's right. And Hefasmar says always supporting. And and Coffee Nerd says LFG page 5.
This weekend. Yeah.
You know, you got, and let's see, Bad Kitty says your art is so cool, Gerhard. You guys rock.
Oh, thanks so much.
And Teramoto says, I really love this idea. Super down to be patient and let the story evolve. Got several copies of standard and special editions.
Nice. That's fantastic. You know, and we've seen all these names pop up, these community members, and once you start reading the comic, you know, if you keep a keen eye out, you'll notice a few of them kind of graffitied on walls and things like that. So we've got a kind of ongoing Easter egg hunt as new pages release. You know, people scouting, and some of them have already picked up, you know, their name, or we had what we call a squad competition a while back, where people compile a squad of their repeat offenders, and you see kind of a couple of those squad names plastered on the walls and things. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I can't talk more about that, but I think that's been something that's really cool and really fun. You know, weaving the community into the pages.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, you know, the story plays out in the repeat offender world, so we regard, you know, the people in our community as part of that world. So I thought it would be cool to, you know, if there's graffiti on a wall, it probably would have been put there by someone from this world, you know. So
right.
Yeah, so I probably shouldn't do this, but page 5.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Wait a minute. You don't have to flash it again. I know, no spoilers, but it's gray tone. Do you do Zipatones traditional?
No, this time I kind of made like a bunch of half tones, and then I'm just using them as like, yeah, but I'm not doing no. I've done that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the whole.
Me
like,
too. Yeah, you just leave with the X-Acto blade on the side. Yeah.
No.
Give us a longer look there.
Unless you want to wait, like, you know, a month per page.
Yeah. I know. So do you work primarily digital nowadays?
No, I do. Yeah, I still have all my brushes and stuff. I'm still kind of here hanging next to my desk, but yeah, it's just like so much easier working digital.
I know. You can't see it off screen, but I've got my animation disc over here. Here, I'll flash it. It's super dirty over here. Like it's not. There's my animation disc over there. Right. Yeah. It's super painful because it's like I've got my animation disc, but like my drawing tablet is over here, and I just naturally gravitate towards it more. You know, similar, right? Why it's so much cleaner and so much easier, and it's really, and you know,
iPad Pro or something. Or...
Yeah,
okay.
Probably should. No, I know. Well, I just use a Huion actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the Cintiq. Like I always used to just work on a very old Wacom, like a the gray one.
I got that. Yeah, I still have that. Yeah.
I still have it. I had it up to the lockdown, up to like the COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to a point where, because I always had, I used to get these like pains in my hands. I still do, but like it was from just overworking.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I realized, like, I think I'm like adding pain, because I'm always like looking in one direction, but I'm drawing down here. So I'm not actually looking where I'm drawing.
Yeah.
So I always have to do a line like 3 or 4 times. And I used to, like you get really tensed up from that.
Yep.
And you end up like having so much strain. So I got to a point where I realized, like, I've been doing this for, 20 years. I'm probably going to keep on doing it. Maybe I should invest in a better tool.
Yeah, I'm laughing. Yeah. I'm laughing because I had the same thing. Like, I mean, I know we're going to tool talk, but I've got an old school Wacom in my desk over here. And same thing. It's just I avoided the screen, drawing on the screen for years, because I was just have the pen here, look at the screen, and do my thing. Yeah. And you get so used to it. But yeah, it's the same thing. You're pulling different ways, and then I have to change angles to get a curve correctly. And, yeah. And I finally just gave in. Roller Dog says, Roller Dog is saying, careful with that hand movement on the camera. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Roller Dog. Looking out. Good looking out.
Oh, man. Makes life a little easier.
For real. So what's next? What do you guys have coming up, like, in the near future? You guys just dropped when did the comic drop? The comic dropped recently, the 4th.
Yeah, right? No, this week.
Yeah.
Sunday. Dropped Sunday.
So what should we expect?
Yeah, so we've got, obviously, the comic claim is open. We've told holders that it's kind of open indefinitely. We're not closing the claim anytime soon. Obviously, we'd like to see those claim numbers go up. So we have encouraged people to go and claim their comics. The gas is nice and low at the moment, so go ahead and do that. We've got the special edition still on sale. That's 0.03 ETH for an edition. So over the next weeks and months, we'll be updating people when there's new pages to go and download. We've got our first large-scale live event happening in October. So I mean, we haven't released all the details, but I'm sure I can share it here. We're taking over a skate park in Cape Town. We've partnered with a few other South African-based NFT projects. We've got murals going up. We've got DJs, a bar, the whole shebang. So we've got that coming in October. We generally also work with artists on collabs. I just took a look at our next collab piece going out today. It looks amazing, really cool, and quite different to some of the work we've done with other artists in the past. So yeah, a lot going on. And then there was a teaser that we released for Fluctuation Overload. Right at the end, we kind of flashed a few images that might hint at the first sort of burn utility for the comic. So quite a lot going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we'll probably do one more merch run before the end of the year. Those have also been really well received. So yeah.
Awesome. So where can we point people? Where should everybody go to jump into Punks?
I think definitely go to the website. Go to punks.com. That's punks with a V, so PVNKS.com. You can view the exhibition there. It'll point you to the various secondary markets if you want to pick up a repeat offender. That's also where you access your vault, so you can get your profile picture there. You can get the HD version of your street scene there. You can even get your characters on a transparent background there, so you can play with them and do what you want with them outside of the street scene. That's also where Fluctuation Overload is on sale. So it's also got its own exhibition page there, and it's got a link to our socials, Discord and Twitter. So obviously, go follow Gerhard Iman, the Gerhard, on Twitter. Go follow us at Punks Official on Twitter. That's where you'll see a lot of updates coming from us as well.
Excellent. Like awesome way to pitch it, man. That's wonderful. Gave out all the information. I love it. Everybody, thank you guys so much. Thank you to Gerhard and Captain. Like, you guys are awesome. This was wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for you, man. It's been
thanks for having us.
Hell yeah, absolutely. And everybody out there watching, everybody in chat, thank you guys. Thank you so much to the Punks OGs and all the Punks community for showing up in force, and AF. Appreciate you all, and Evening Alpha crew. Good showing today, especially since we changed the time. Love it, man. This was fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Evening Alpha, we love you. We'll see you next time. Until then, peace out. God bless.